feel like I'm going to need a beer for this conversation.
Run with bells. He's got some.
Do we have any bolters somewhere?
No, no bolters.
Oh,
No bolters.
that's controversial.
Yeah, a little controversial.
Yeah.
Grab a beer and then.
Welcome back to the Insiders Podcast. This week you're only going to be hearing from half of us, as my older, wiser, better looking co-host Darren is just travelling back from Hawaii, where he spent 2 weeks, and we're going to be hearing all about that coming up. But on this episode, it's myself chatting to one of the greatest surfers for the last 15 years to have graced the world tour, as well as being a free surfer, and one of the younger, more innovative shapers in the world, making some of the most incredible surfboards out in Australia. These two are a little dream team, and speaking to them was an absolute privilege with their knowledge. I'm going to lead this straight in. This is me chatting with Josh Kerr and Nathan Tummon of Album Australia. Enjoy. Special guests again on the Insiders Podcast, and today we've got Josh Kerr and Nathan Tummon. Tummon. Is it Nathan and Nathaniel? Because Jack Freeso was calling you Nathaniel.
Nathan, Nathaniel, Nate, all of the above. Anything.
Well, welcome, boys.
Yeah, thanks for having us, mate.
That is not a problem. There would be another Aussie as part of the conversation, but my co-host Darren is in Hawaii with no internet connection, so he's had to sit this one out. But he's here in spirit, I guess.
Yeah, good excuse though.
Yeah.
Not bad. Without any internet, I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I think that's on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, time-wise, he's probably not surfing, but he's probably been surfing all day. So, but can't blame him.
Yeah, but, it's island midnight there for sure.
Yeah. So just before we go into the surf chat, you boys were just saying just before we started this that it's really humid over there and stuff. I wanted to just touch on the fact that you've obviously been going through a very difficult period with the floods and stuff like that. In the UK, especially because of what's going on in the Ukraine, there's not a lot of media coverage of what's going on with you boys. So how are things at the moment?
It's from what we hear now on the news, there has been no government aid. I think today they were down. The
military's slowly come in.
Yeah,
it's been pretty
pushing a week and a half, and there's been no help apart from community input, basically. So
it's like a catastrophic once in 1,000 years kind of thing. Crazy. Like communities and cities are never going to be the same again. And it's funny enough, like even on the news here, it's not too different. We're not hearing as much as what we should for how insane of an event it is here within our own nation. And you're hearing a lot more about the Ukraine war. Same thing here, even in Australia, when in our backyard we're battling a war.
There's people
with these floods.
People who've lost literally everything.
Yeah,
there's places that are still inundated with water. Like there's no just no let up at all. And there's no help. There's no help apart from community. Yeah. So it's been a strange few weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
I did see that a kind of little shining light from it was that the surf community seemed to just rise. People with skis, and I saw Macy Callahan doing big cook-ups and trying to help as much as possible, which was a little kind of shining light, but it is pretty heavy.
Yeah, it was pretty much.
It's been amazing to see how many people just all hands on deck. They got more than enough community volunteers and all that down there. They're even turning people away at times. And some of these towns, we've got so much help here. It's kind of amazing just how everyone's banded together and just took it upon themselves to help a neighbor out and help other towns out. And no, it's been, I don't know, for me and a lot of people, it's been a sense of pride for everyone to band together and do it.
Yeah. Well, fair play to everyone, because I mean, to put other people first when they're probably going through it as well is a big thing as well. So good on everyone.
It's not going to be a quick one by any means. These towns need to be rebuilt from scratch. So it's going to be months and months and even years of traumatic experiences as well.
People are going to be struggling with this for a long time. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, that sucks. And I guess that everyone's going to probably keep doing what they can, but hopefully maybe we can provide a little glimmer of light on the poddy or something like that to help as well.
Any help is better than just watching. So
down the financial help road. Now I'm starting to tick on how we can do fundraisers or auctions and parties or whatever to raise like money and awareness for victims and stuff.
There's a lot of elderly that just, retirees that basically living on a pension and they've lost.
Yeah.
Uninsured, lost everything. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I heard about like Danny Johnson from Stab. Like he's been affected, and where he lives is he doesn't get flood insurance because he's in a floodplain or something, which is
we can get it. It's very, very, very expensive. Like it's most people's wages.
Yeah. It's not a realistic thing to be able to afford on a standard wage for sure.
Yeah. Well, if we jump into the surf world, then both of you are like a question that covers both of you is kind of like how it started for you guys on album. Like, how did you get to album? Obviously, Josh, you went from riding like a couple of different boards and styles of boards, I guess, to the album boards, and then obviously Nathan shaping them.
It's been a weird little.
Well, we first met like a year, 2 years,
nearly 3 years ago. So,
I mean, like a year or two prior to us actually doing what we did here.
So you obviously, when you jumped off tour, that's when you met Matt.
I was riding my last year of tour. It was funny because I got off Rusty surfboards 1 year before I had a full year on tour. And I was asking shapers, like, shape me like something fun and something performance. And everyone's like theory on that was like they'd shape me at 5'9", 18 and a half, like 2 1/4 what my performance board was. And then the fun one would be 5'8 and a half, 18 and 5'8" and 2 3. It's like little, like the most minute difference. And I was like, no, like when I meant fun, I was something different. I was telling Matt that, and he just shaped me this amazing quiver of just alternative boards. And like, I'm like, hell yeah. Like my mind was already off. That's where I wanted to go personally. And I'd always appreciated other crafts like my whole career. I was the kind of guy where my performance shortboard was never the same from year to year. I never stuck to like one thing. So I'd always jump on fishes and single fins and twin fins and quads and find all these things and always try and integrate things to try and make things better in my, typical performance all around board. So my board's changed a lot, and I was just always addicted to speed, and that. So that's why Matt's boards got me really excited. And then, it was about a year after riding his boards, we came to Australia, and he had the relationship with you already.
Yeah, me and Matt had already been chatting about boards. I think it originated a few years before. It was just some random board chat. We had like a very similar style of shaping it, if you can say that. Like it's hard to every shaper has their own little way, but there's a lot of similarities in it. And then we just kind of started talking, and he wanted to come over and do a trip. So I kind of facilitated everything for him. He used the bay, got all his cuts done. And then you guys came over, and that's when I met you, and we just hung out. Yeah. And then when Matt left, he just left me a load of boards to shape, and was like, there you go. Yeah. Just, have fun with it, and put your own little flavor on them. You just kind of snowballed them from that. So
I came back the next year, and that was 2020, COVID kicking in. That's when you started. You had boards ready for me. You shaped. I was frothing on them, and then it kicked in the whole COVID thing, and me and him just got along. We're kind of like two very Energizer Bunny kind of personalities. So we
you're the brains, and I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground.
Boots on the ground. Yeah, but I love getting dirty as well at the same time. So we just kind of, I think COVID kicked in. Like we wanted a side distraction. I'm like, what do you reckon? We just bring them in.
We just nutted it out and.
Proposed it to Matt, and he got excited on the thought of me and you being the head of Australia, and
here we are.
Yeah,
couple years down the line, we're kind of
inundated with orders.
It's a factory. It's a whirlwind of emotion. That's what it is. Like it's fun, it's stressful, it's everything that it should be and more, and it's still fun. So it's
we definitely didn't start it for it to get to the point we're at now. That's for sure. We're just like we'll take over some boards and we'll have some fun with it. We like riding bikes and surfing together, and I just every now and then I go, Nate, remember when we used to just like hang out and just go and have fun every time we go out?
You pulled me out early. It was just like end up drinking
not talk business.
It was pretty organic growth. It's actually been kind of good having the guys. Oh, we got beer coming.
Beers arrived.
Beers have arrived. So it's been generic. We work pretty close with the guys in the States, and it all kind of runs kind of as closely as we can. So we don't advertise, we don't sales. We don't do everything's relative to how they operate in the States.
Similar aesthetics and everything.
It's just organically grown into this thing.
Yeah. We have a good, like between me and Nath and then Mike and Matt in the States, like we have a really good synergy of like brand awareness and aesthetics and everything like that, and design, and we're all on the same page.
There's that whole thing of like, that they're over in the States and we're over here, but it's the same brand whether you're in the States or over here. I don't see us as being just Australia. It's like we're part of what Matt and those guys have created from all his years of building his brand. We're just
so organic.
We just kind of flow into it, kind of thing. So
you can. I mean, I've known Matt for probably just at the start of COVID since then as well, and I chat to Mike a lot as well. And one thing I think that comes across to me that I really like value highly in the brand itself is they don't like the thought of money or we can do 10 times what we were able to do and make all of this money. They have a very kind of special value on where their brand sits in the world, which I think is huge. And you can tell that as well in how the boards are made, because they are obviously, they serve pretty good and they're made very well. So yeah, that's sick. So Josh, you said about asking for a high performance board and kind of fun board, and people were failing to kind of tick the box. With that, obviously your daughter is like at the start of her career, and it seems like she surfs quite a lot of short boards, like the high performance stuff. And when we spoke to Jack Freestone, he said if he could go back and speak to a younger surfer or himself, he would say in every quiver, get a fun board, but like rather than just someone making it a little thicker like they did for you. Do you oversee that a bit for her? Does she get on some alternative shapes?
Yeah, for sure. We've done a couple of fun twin fins for her, and I always like everything. We get her on soft tops even. I would go finless on soft tops. For me, I found finless soft topping was one of my best things I got into, is it really makes you engage your rail. If that makes any sense. Using your rail and not fins. But yeah, we play around with all sorts of stuff all the time, and whether we standing up on boogie boards, riding twin fins. But obviously she's still getting her head around how a performance shortboard can still ride, and her growth that you've seen, she's grown so much in the last year or two. So just to even find a board, she's that's definitely going to be a part of her career path over the next 5 years. That's for sure. And I don't want to give her too many twin fins to ride, because I feel like if I give her too many twin fins, she might never want to ride short boards all the time. They're just so addictive.
It's hard. I always feel like it's good to try them and experiment and pull like good feelings from boards, but at her age, her style can be so easily swayed into different things. That I think it's good to get just a nice balance, but keep her progressing in a natural kind of route. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good on her though. Yeah, good on her for being on it, because like Jack said that he'd barely touched one, and you think someone of his level and the exposure that he would have had to whatever boards he's got, they're easily ignorable. Like you can easily pick, as much as once you've surfed them, twin fins and stuff feel great. For someone who's only picking up short boards, they could pick up a 20 from someone and go, oh, that feels big and clunky and horrible. So it's always good to kind of get that exposure, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So with the album brand and keeping it core and stuff, one thing I was meant to ask Matt Parker and forgot. So while I've got you two, I'm going to reuse the question. If you could like pick a surfer in the world, like any surfer who's not on album, because you'd love to see their style, and maybe it's like someone out there to see what they would do, or someone that fits, who would you love to like put on a trip on an album board?
I would like Mikey's every real line. I think that would be something to watch. That'd be real fun. Just he's a well-rounded surfer. He can ride shortboards, he can ride 20s. But
what would you put him on? Like if you had to pick two, if you had to say right, Mikey February, J Bay,
Twinsman.
I'd almost say like I think the Twinsman's such a good board, and it's so diverse and it's being so well created. It's a do everything board for, you can push it, you can cruise, you generate speed naturally. That would be like, I would love to see him on one of those. There's also like you see them on mid lengths like the Townsend. The Townsend would be Moonstone, like stretched out.
That
like,
J-Bay on a Moonstone.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. That'd be really good. It's just a lot, like a longer rail line and drawn out lines. It would be, I think that would be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
It'd be real good. So that's my pick.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of fun. I like to see people that don't ride those style boards. I mean, it'd be cool to see Chipper Wilson on one, just because he does dabble with different boards and he's really good at adapting. I was saying that, like, I think in a surfer, it's so fun to watch a surfer that can change and morph their surfing to adapt to a board. But when you don't have to adapt as much as you want with this board, that's the best part, that you can kind of do everything with your own style and with a whole different level of speed and that. So it'd be fun to see someone like him that he'd be able to, if he was on twins, man, he wouldn't be held back one bit from any part of his surfing, all his tricky stuff, airs. And then it might even bring a really cool flow to his open face surfing.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think, I'd love to see Chipper. I think Chipper's a good call because, like you say about having someone who's not, because Mikey February, you could put him on an album every day of the week and he'd love it. But it was a bit it's kind of like the interesting side of when Dane done his Electric Acid and he was on the Dis Sim at the time. And and it was kind of, you're so used to seeing.
Back at all. It made him feel so good on that board.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it made Dane open his eyes to not being on just a thruster.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said in that clip, like, he wanted to hate it. He wanted to hate it.
Wanted to, just from the look aspect.
Yeah.
He's like, but damn, it went good.
Yeah, like, it's such a good functional board, that thing. And
I'd love to see some, like, real CT guys on that Jason, because that thing
has so much potential as a board. It's such
a real surfboard, like J-Bay or
it's like,
in a heat of work.
It's so functional, that board. It just, obviously, it's like everybody sees the, like, symmetrical surfboards and that's how they've seen them. Like, that's how they are. Everybody does, like, standard, from standard shortboards all the way to, your fishes and your everything. It's all symmetrical. So as soon as you pull something out of that, it looks so different, people are instantly like, oh, I'm not too sure. But you just have to try it. Like, some guy came in to order an Insanity. Remember, you were in the shop as well. And he came in to order an Insanity, saw the Disorder, and he ended up ordering one of those over the Insanity. And it's just one of those boards. It's so intriguing, and until you actually get one under your feet, you don't realize how much potential it has as an all-round board. So Matt's definitely he's created a couple pretty diverse boards that have got so much packed into them, but they're so functional for such a broad range of people. So it's pretty good to see it all come together.
He's a genius on that.
Getting them under people's feet and opening them up and being like, you don't need to ride a 5'11" by 18 and a half by 2 1/4 when it's 3 foot snappy. You can ride this, you're gonna have way more fun.
Yeah, 100%, and even be able to elevate your performance.
And I said the same. I've got a Townsend, asymmetrical Townsend, first asymmetrical board I've ever had, and I was a little bit reluctant and had the normal kind of, I guess, uneducated questions such as, oh, is it not going to feel weird when I'm paddling, and all this and all that. And I said, I kind of just was like, oh no, just trust Matt here. I told him how tall I am, how much I weigh, generally surf in the UK, so it's pretty rubbish. And he made me one. I don't even know the dims. I just know it's 6'8", and it's the best board I've ever ridden. So, and now I've got a Disorder on order, which should be coming kind of hopefully a couple of months away, I think. And just trusting him because he's a pretty special at what he does.
Yeah, you won't be disappointed with that one.
No,
no.
You have that instant thing. Like, I think everybody that ever asked me about them is like, so you have like one for, it's either a shape for goofy or regular. So people are instantly like, so you can only go one way.
Yeah.
No, you just it's functional both ways. It's just, it starts putting questions into people's heads, and then until you actually ride it, you're like, oh, this is what it does. Like,
no one surfs symmetrically, so
no, you don't stand symmetrically on the board. The way the water doesn't go symmetrically across the bottom of the board, so you can't lean backwards as easily as you can lean forwards.
No.
Like that's
especially a lot of surfers, like uncomfortable to feel off balance backwards.
I think they come into play more with the average surfer area as opposed to, like yourself, Josh, who's high, like that top level, you've grown up, you don't need that compensation because you're so used to it. It's what how you've come to where you are is on a normal board. So I think they're a little less beneficial for someone like yourself or like a top level surfer, but they open up like so many options for different lines and different feels. It's still worth riding them, but I think the average intermediate kind of that area of surfer would benefit way more from an asymmetrical board than anyone else. It's
break the norm, because it definitely helped me. Like I've never gone that fast on a surfboard, so I'm stoked with it, and I just can't get off of it. So I'm with you on that. One thing then that I was going to ask you, Nathan, is that what's the hardest album board to shape for you? And I was assuming that it would be an asim. That's just an assumption.
Actually, I really like doing like the Disorder or the Townsend. The asymmetrical is a lot of fun. Like it's not like we have a generic template for doing the nose and tails. It's like more of like a, someone orders a board, how, what size they're supposed to be riding. And most of the time when you speak to them, they're like, oh yeah, I've been riding, a shortboard my whole life. And I'm this level. So you have a little bit to play with, and you just kind of go until it looks right.
Yeah.
And feels right.
You can't do it wrong.
You can't go wrong with them. Like this is the thing as well. Like there's not, that's the thing with surfboard. There's no right or wrong. There's like
symmetrically you can be wrong.
Symmetrically you can be wrong. And it's amazing. So you can't right. But no, there's no right or wrong with them. So they're a lot of fun. The hardest, I don't know what the hardest would be. I think generally team boards are always like a little harder because I always feel like I'm trying to find a new feeling for them, like you yourself. Like I always play with like minute things on your boards just to try and find out whether you like it or whether you don't like it. So I don't think it's really a model, like a specific board.
Okay, yeah.
Like they're all.
It's just Josh.
Yeah, it's Josh. Just like Josh. You're pretty good. You're actually really good.
There's only the occasional one I go, oh, this one just felt a little bit.
And it's always like I know.
And he goes, I did this. I was just hoping it would. Nope, that didn't work. Cross that off.
Yeah, it's always like they always work. And the thing is as well, like there's no right or wrong. So you might not like it, but Will in the office might jump on it and be like, hey, this is good. Like someone down the street might come in and want to like, this is the best board ever. So there's no right or wrong with it. It's just how the surfer feels like their individual kind of want for a board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. I can understand that as well, because I can imagine the pressure of shaping for someone who's that dialed in is a bit kind of funky or a bit weird as well.
I think the good thing is that you're like now you're not competing. You're not you haven't got things that you need to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like with your with contests and stuff, you're so open. That's the good thing about like everyone that's writing for album. They're so open to trying. They're not tied down to any specific thing. So it's fun in that aspect because
we can
try stuff. And
not to try and impress a judge, right? We go for surf.
Fun. It's all about
every surf I go for is either I just need to get in the water and clear the head, or I'm going surfing to have fun and enjoy with friends or get some footage, but I don't feel no pressure. Like Ashley would never feel that. Jack is just coming off the back of that. Mackenzie doesn't feel that anymore. I'm sure it's let that go.
Yeah,
so.
It's fun. It's more of like you just want to feel out something new. So it's like I try new things so that you can try and maybe feel out something new, and you might not like it, but you still surf it. Like there's nothing that's I'm not gonna do anything crazy that's gonna like ruin that board, and it's not gonna go. Like, you never know. Might have a few beers.
They all go and see what happens. It's definitely minute stuff.
Yeah, it's all pretty like finite kind of details with your stuff.
Yeah. More just the Twinsman. You give me any other board, I'm just excited no matter what. I find.
Like you've been running
Twinsman. I feel like I can rip on this thing so hard. So if there's something off, I'm like, it just felt a little different to the last one. I was saying that.
That's probably the hard one for you. The Twinsman.
Twinsman and the Insanity are like the two.
That's your peak performance is going to be on the Insanity of the Twinsman. So minute details in that can make that board kind of it might feel a little stiff when it's smaller. It might feel a little loose when it's slightly larger. So that's really good. But then you've been running Moonstone, and that was just just kind of.
I can't have a bad time on that board.
No, I just sized it. I kind of sized. Matt gives me like a base file, and same with he does with everything. Like, you know, try this. I'm like, oh, what did you make Josh when he was over there? So he sends me the file, and I'll ask Josh, anything different? He's like, no, just do whatever. So it's like I kind of get to. It's kind of fun in that sense because I get to put my own little kind of twist on the boards, and you know, it's more just about having fun and making.
No one's trying to win world titles on.
No.
Everyone's fastest and have the most fun. Just enjoy their Arvo surf.
That's it. It's all about having fun, really. It's kind of what the ultimate goal is. So you have fun, and I make it happen.
Yeah.
With that, Josh, one of the things that a few people after listening to Jack Freestone speak was he's got a new problem and a good problem since riding for Album, where he now has to make choices of what board he wants to surf based on how he feels, rather than having just a row of 6.0 pointy-nose shortboards. And it was quite cool because that's something that, like, an everyday surfer we face every day. Oh, what do we like? The conditions are generally the same, but we have a few boards that ride different. Do you have that same thing? Do you now look at waves and go, oh yeah, this is a board that I'd love to be able to go back there with? And
100%. Now, like, I've got such a diverse quiver. A lot of it goes on mood. The board I decide I'm going to ride, it's like mood. Unless the waves are like real waves, then I'll start factoring in waves a little bit. But I still factor in what type of surfing I want to do in that wave. How much fun am I ready to, like? Do I want to just like get as tight as I can and whip it in the pocket, or do I want to just go really fast and just enjoy, or be able to paddle really nice? And I don't feel like I have the energy to like have to be under the lip. I want to Cadillac into waves and stuff like that, you know. So mood is definitely probably the main factor on a choice of boards for me as well.
For sure.
And the waves themselves, like, it's just like whatever's going to motivate me to go get wet and I know I'm going to enjoy myself. So it really does come down to mood also.
Yeah. So if you're feeling like angry, like you've had a day where just things aren't going well, would you go to attack the wave on?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Even if I'm angry sometimes, like, I just need to let go and just enjoy. So I might ride like a big board. And sometimes it might be like, I'm a bit angry. I want to like friggin' do a full rotation. So I'll take out the insanity and just ride a board that I can just go like put everything into and blow a lip apart, you know. But I don't know. Honestly, it just comes down to how I almost like predict the emotion I want to get coming out of the water before I pick my board going into the water, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. That does. No, that does.
I want to make sure when I put my forecasting for coming out of the water to be happy and just feel satisfied. That goes into my prediction before heading out there.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. Because if you're in a bad mood and then it's like rubbish, and you take out your most performance board and then like just
you're only going to get mad at it because there's nothing there to give you. Like, if it's rubbish, I'd just rather just take something and just do a bunch of floaters and go fast and go, ooh, that was kind of fun, you know.
Yeah. Get the finless 20 out.
Catch as many waves as you can and just like, oh, that's good. One thing I do know, and I don't need to be out in the water as long to feel satisfied on the boards I ride now. That's for sure. I don't know if that's an emotion from being off tour or if it's just no pressure. I don't know. I feel like I might catch a few good ones and I'm like, yeah, that was fun. Stoked. All right, let's go on to the next thing.
So did you have any, when your last year on tour, then you said obviously the very last year, did you have any albums then? So you were surfing albums? Yeah.
I did, yeah. 2017 was my last year on tour. I had a quiver and I had this insanity that worked so good. I still let my emotions of thinking like the judges, because I felt like I was surfing so good at it, but I knew that the judges might
look at it and be
because you saw like Kelly and all that, like bring boards and you see them just get scorched on by the judges. So, but yeah, I wish I did ride it. If I could have that last year on tour back again, the boards I would ride.
Just twins.
Yeah, I find it really interesting because you're now the second person that I've spoken to that's a world tour elite level surfer that has said that. Jack said if he could, he's not shut the door to going back on tour, and he said if he could get a call up to J-Bay, he would be on an album. He'd probably be he said he'd probably go out on an ASIM as well. And it just makes me wonder, is anyone on tour missing that trick? But I guess it is such a risk as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be adapted to it for sure. It does take a minute to get to that comfort level on a board like that, where you feel like you could push as hard as you want and have full faith in your equipment, especially coming off the back of thrusters and all the rocker and everything like that, just to use.
I think there's a lot of factors that, like, especially being, obviously, I'm never going to be, just from watching the tour, like you see, it's all like criteria based. And I think, like you said, it's kind of in your back of your mind that they might score you down. And that in itself could be pretty off-putting, just sets of wrong it's the off mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, you rode ASIMs.
I rode ASIMs at Chopu and at Fiji for years, actually.
Yeah.
Prior to coming, I worked with Rusty on, they started off just with being hard edges on the inside edge, so I could drive easier on the heel side rail, and then really soft edges on the toe, so I could with a little bit longer equipment I could still turn it over a lot easier. And then I shaped my own ASIM, like a full proper ASIM for Chopu one year, and
that makes me nervous.
Yeah, I broke my board that I was riding. That was my backup board. I got on and I needed a 7 or something like that.
Yellow one, wasn't it?
No, it was clear. I called it the bipolar because it was bipolar, whatever. But
yeah.
I actually shaped it myself and full off ASIM, and I needed a 7. I got an 8 on the thing. So I made the heat. So I was pretty frothing on that. But I've never been. But it'd be and that was a quad ASIM. But I'd love to. Twin fins on point. If Bells Beach, oh my gosh, I don't even know why people ride thrusters at Bells Beach. Absolutely pointless. They should be on freaking clean bells, twin fin all day. I couldn't imagine how good some of those guys would surf bells on a twin fin. It'd be unbelievable. And J-bait at that.
It'd be sick because the girls now are on the same schedule as the guys. It'd be sick if Steph just takes out a 20 at J-Bay or somewhere.
That spice on that twin fin looks just so amazing.
And just everything flows so well.
It's trying to get around sections.
Full open wall, just
high line drop down. Oh,
well, they had that twin fin event. They had it at
the high line.
Yeah, the high line. Was it the high line? They did have that. I think Gary McNeil made a load of boards for it, and everybody took him out. There was Geordie and a few other to go. It was so
crappy waves.
It was crappy waves, but still, it's just a little more freedom on a wave. It's, got that open face, which twin fins love.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good to watch.
It's quite an interesting one as well, though, because I think from watching, when Jack Freeze, like you say about taking time to accustom yourself to the boards, because when Jack first got an album, I think you could still see he was feeling out the boards. And when you watch Coco Ho and Mace in the Electric Acid, especially Coco, I think she even says it took her a while to try and not surf like a tour surfer is kind of meant to surf. So I think some people could maybe get a 20 and try and surf it in the wrong way, and then it would look really bad as well.
I think it's hard, for guys who are full, they ride shortboards all the time. They surf to a criteria until they get out of heat, and they obviously have that. They kind of go.
A lot of them still surf.
You put them. Yeah, they're so driven by this competition style surfing, and they jump on a board, and instead of just feeling out the board and kind of letting the board do a little bit of the work, they're just top to bottom. That's what they do. That's what they know, and it's kind of they kind of almost just need to step back a little and just kind of almost be a little lazy and let the board kind of feel the board out and just see where it would, how it sits, just taking a few different lines, just bottom turn, top turn, all the way through, just feel it out and relax a little.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch, and how many guys in the modern era, in the last few years that have gotten off tour have all gone to a twin fit, with their own shapers or something like that a lot of the time, but they've all gone to a twin fin as their post-tour kind of go-to board.
It's fun to experiment and feel out something new that they've been, they haven't done it because they've been, I need a whole quiver of 510s to 6.2s for this leg. That's what I'm going to ride. So it's kind of, it's good to see like Nick out snapping out. Like you see them all out snapping when it's good. And they'll jump between 20s pods. They're trying different stuff. And it's good to see. Like it's fun and it's kind of exciting because you're like, you see them walk down the beach and you're like, I'm going to stay and watch, just see what they do. And it's fun. It's probably fun for them, obviously, trying out new fields and
that's what I mean. Like that's been their go-to. So obviously they're finding a lot more enjoyment on that style of craft.
Yeah. Obviously there's a lot of surfers out there who are affiliated to brands, but then a lot of surfers aren't fully stuck. Like I think they still get boards from other people. They just don't potentially surf them a lot as well. Do you get people that come to you that get an album and then and you're kind of thinking, well, you should come back for a lot more?
Yeah.
You don't have to know those.
Can't give names, but
it's not giving names. There's definitely like you've got friends that hit you up. I've got like people that I'll meet them and speak to, and then they end up ordering 3 or 4 boards, and like you can't be like, hey, send me some. I want to see clips. Like you'll see clips, and you just can't. You don't want to post them, and you feel a bit. You want to kind of get more boards under their feet and just see how far they can go on something, because it like exciting, and they're just as excited because they got something that's different to what they used to. You just wish you could just be like, just show everyone, because especially myself, I get pretty excited about making boards for people that it's just like.
It's so fun when you see
the fun. It's almost like
a clip of them surfing.
I'd rather watch someone surf a board that I've made that's at such a high level, or they're so used to riding shortboards, and you get them aboard and you're like, oh, this is exciting. You see them do one turn, and you're like, I'm done. I'm happy. Like that's it. I feel like I've achieved something. So, especially like Matt, it's like just the UK surf scene. You get a tour level surfer or someone who's up there so high. Like obviously there's really good surfers in the UK, and guys that have done so much with their careers, but there's just not that like world tour level surfers. And coming from the UK, I'm a bit like still get a little bit of like a what's the word?
A fanboy?
Yeah, I got to tone down the fanboy levels. That's what I got to do. I just got to tone it down and be like, okay, I'm going to make him a board. Just be cool.
That's exactly like me when I spoke with Matt and then was speaking with Mike, and they were like, Mike was going to Hawaii and he was like, oh, we could get Jack Freestone. I'll try and get Jack Freestone for you to do the potty. And I don't think I slept for about 3 days, and then you messaged and was like, I'll try and get Josh on an episode, and I was freaking out. I was like, Darren, we're getting Kersey and stuff. And I deal with strange, because I work in the surf world, and you become a bit numb to it. So sometimes I'm emailing some of the best shapers and brands in the world and being like, this board, we need it ASAP. Like if you don't and I'm like barking orders at these people that outside of my job, I'm like, they're like the holy grail of people. And it's a bit funny, but then as soon as I'm out of work mode, I'm full like frothing grom, running around like, oh my god. Like we do a lot of work with one of the best English surfers of the last few years, like Alan Stokes, and he comes up and he delivers boards to it for us, and we work with him on some board designs for a different brand over here, and I just ask him as many possible questions as I can, just to try and get as much information out of him to try and help myself in any way. So I think it's sick that I think you've got to have that kind of level of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I like it. It keeps me kind of excited, and the surf industry itself is so hectic, and it probably looks pretty glamorous from the outside, but there's so many moving parts and so much. The industry is so, at the moment especially, it's pretty restricted with materials and all this. So there is a lot of stress that kind of can build up from being so immersed in it. But it's good when I get to make a board and I just have fun with it. Like I was putting paint on your boards earlier, and I'm like, yes, this is fun. Like this is what I.
That's scary.
Yeah,
it's fine. I was showing.
It looks great. I promise.
I was showing Mackenzie how to do it on one of your boards, and then
he went and fucked up till he is.
Yeah, pretty much. Savable. You'll probably all see it on Instagram.
He's a bit. Yeah, he's a bit. Is he as wild as he comes across?
He's got some natural, awesome spirit about him.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah. He's definitely, when he's in the room, And he's fun to be around. Like, you know, there's a lot of energy there, and I know him before I was making him boards, so it was like a friendship and making board. And he's just fun to be around. Like, there's no, you know, he's another one who grew up Grom Series, riding shortboards.
He was pretty.
He was pretty good.
3 years ago, he was pretty typical shortboard guy.
His brother,
3 years ago.
He went on a Ruka trip with AP, and it was the first batch of albums that I made for AP, and it was that Green Twinsman. And I think Mackenzie had a go on it and came back and was like, "I want that board."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, you can buy them. So I made him pay for the first few boards, and we do like a swap back thing, and it just kind of ran on.
Now he has more boards than me.
Yeah. Yours are coming. There's other people who need boards too. But no, he's another one. I have so much fun with him because he lets me kind of go with what I want him to ride, and I'm like, hey, you should try this or try that, or, you know, he's got a couple things coming through, like what Jack's been riding, feel those out, and like one that you're riding, that grey black one you ride. So he's fun because he's like, again, well, it's like all the guys that get boards from out there, there's no restrictions. They're so happy to try whatever. You know, I make a board, they're happy to try it. Matt sends boards over, like we got some boards for AP that Will brought back over from the States. And they're just one-offs. Like, that's the best thing about albums, is that everything's all one-off. So, you know, they're all fun. They're all, you know, they've all got something slightly different about them that, you know, and that's what everybody likes. That's what everybody, that's why they come to albums. I
feel like that's what got me enticed by album from the first place, just hanging with Matt and just like sitting in the bay with him and talking about the first 15 years of his career of shaping. It was just like, there was no models. He had no model. He didn't have any models per se. They were just 10,000 different boards is what he shaped. With his mind and just him doing what he's been doing. He's had this like little niche following for so long, like just within the little California kind of community. It's been so fun to see someone like himself that really deserves the recognition that he's kind of brought in shaping, and just the development he's done. And now it's being a bit more globalized over the last few years. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's good to see, like, from a shaping point of view, it's good to see someone's like, it's like the inner workings of their brains just like put onto a surfboard, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to, you know, learn from it as well. And they're fun to surf because you know, they're all different, and they're all kind of have their individual little bits of spark to them that, you know, that accumulate, and every now and then, like, you know, they accumulate into a board that everybody loves, like the Twin Board, for example. It's like, you know, years of Matt redefining different boards, or you could say they're models or whatever, but just accumulated into this one board that, you know, AP rode. It was that green. There's a green one that I made, and I think that's what snowballed it for us over here, was that originally, and then you came over, and it, you know, it's just, it's good to see just such a long process that someone's kind of spent a massive career on.
Yeah, it's kind of like roots.
It
like roots of a plant, and then he's
that's why shaping is so fun. Like, because it's always a progression. You're never going to get to a point of perfection because everyone's so individual. So it's fun to like learn from making boards, and, you know, learning what works and seeing what works. Like, we watch clips of Sierra, and you look at her from a movement performance sense, and I'm like looking at the board, and I'm like, oh, what's that doing? And, you know,
I got a bit of both.
You give me a little bit. Yeah, you give me both. You gotta do it yourself. But
that point's completely true. I mean, we couldn't get album boards in England until like we board shop started to bring them in after we reached out to Matt. And when I first as soon as he said, we could get an order going, I ordered a board that's like, Matt was like, this is 9 years, this model's not been released for 9 years. I was like, I know, I've been following you for a while. I've had this board, and I've got it now. I love it. But
what was the name of it? I'm sure it doesn't exist anymore.
It's called the Freeform.
I've ridden one of those.
I don't think I've
there's one over there. It was one that we made, and it got cut in epoxy, and it was supposed to be a PU. So we got the PU cut, and that one went out, and there was just this epoxy freeform. It was like 5'5". It's over. It's kind of fuller, and it almost looks like what's the best way to describe it? Looks like a kind of a squash fuller Townsend, like round tail Townsend.
Oh, okay.
I'd say that's
almost similar to the board that I have, the my new little favorite model.
Similar but more foam.
Speaking of which, is that
a little
coming through?
flatter. Yeah, it's all
It's
coming.
like
We're talking boards.
Sidetrack.
I
I just saw someone in the water. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that model looks insane." I was speaking to Nate.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Is he going to start shaping that one as a model?"
Yeah, that's for the one. Yeah, the remake of the one that the one that Matt made you that you love. But yeah, the freeform's an old model, and we still get asked to make it, and it's such a fun board. Like I just jump on the thing randomly. That's like half of what I've been riding probably in the last 6 months of boards that have either been like miscut or they come off wrong, or someone goes and does something that they shouldn't do, and it's just sat there, and I'm like, I haven't ridden one of those yet. I might as well take it out.
Well, you don't have time to shape boards for yourself.
I know. I try to, and they get pushed back so far that I just forget about them.
I barely get boards anymore.
So have you got a new board coming out as well, Josh? Is that something you're working on?
Yeah. Matt got me a little board that has turned into my new favorite in anything under head high.
Yeah. And I made Mackenzie. He sent the files to me, and because I asked about it, because Josh posted a clip on Instagram, and everyone's just like instantly, what's that board? What's that board? Oh, what's this? What's that? So I asked Matt, and Matt sent the file. So I made Mackenzie one. You've got another one coming, and I put a few like just scaled sizes up because people were asking for it. So
it's a good one. It's a very, very, very good.
Yeah, it'd be.
It's the best one, I think.
Yeah, you've been rocking that thing. So,
I'm sold.
I'm sure Matt he's probably still working away on that one.
Mm-hmm. It'd be like Twinsman and that one. That one's just like guaranteed performance, rippable fun.
Yeah.
Twinsman, you're going to do probably a better turn on in good waves.
Yeah.
But only at the most, like the waves have to be right. I think that one's just like head high and below all time.
Yeah, it looks spicy.
So
good. Everyone's commented on it. So
yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, I think it's just a constant evolution. Like, I think obviously there's models. It's it's so people can refer to a specific board, but they're all so it's good just to be able to just keep progressing and keep trying new things and finding out things that work. Like one board might lead to something that's completely different, but it's got aspects in the rocker or the rails or something. And
what about me giving Asher the Moonstone and he hadn't ridden? I've been trying to tell friggin' Asher to ride a Moonstone for 2-3 years.
Yeah, I think Matt touched on.
For some reason, because I telling him to ride it, he wouldn't fucking ride it.
Yeah. So AP rides. He's like we do him boards, and they're all slightly. He rides a lot shorter than.
Yeah, he's pretty much. I feel like I ride short.
Yeah, you ride his Twinsman, for example. You ride 5'3". He rides 5'3".
Yeah, and he's 3 inches taller than me.
He's pretty much the same height and weight. Well, he's maybe half an inch shorter or an inch shorter, but same roughly height and weight as me. So I ride all his boards. When they come back in, I'm like, I'm gonna have a go. But he rides abnormally short boards, so they still have a lot of foam. They're still, it's just well hidden and well distributed, so it's like balanced. But he jumped on. I think Matt touched on him riding, the Townsend and the longer boards, and then
He was frothing on it.
Yeah, he's been riding.
Got to try the Moonstone.
So you've got to try the Moonstone. So bearing in mind, Josh is really short. Josh rides short now. Your Moonstone's like 5'10", 18 and something. It's like stretched out for what you normally ride. I can't remember the exact size of it, but you messaged me something about you saying that AP should ride one of these boards, and you'd basically been out surfing and swapped it. Or swap boards mid-surf. And he rode your Moonstone, which is tiny.
For him, yeah.
For him, it's tiny. And I think I rode one of yours once briefly, but I think we maybe swapped.
It was like J-Bay.
Yeah. I was like, this is the narrowest board. Like, it's like me riding a normal shortboard. That's how narrow it felt. But and then he was frothing it, and he was like, yeah, can we get like one of those? Yeah. And I was trying to get him to go along. I ride of the Moonstone, and it's such a fun board.
So good. And the best I've seen Asher surf in ages on the board. I was just like, holy shit. I go, fuck, I told you, Ash. And he's just like, okay, yes, Josh, you're right. I was wrong. He just didn't like the look of that thing because he was so used to such a squished down version of that look.
Yeah.
And to have now that he's been kind of into a bit more mid-length and used to a bit more rail, he really enjoyed that Moonstone. Trust me, it'll be all he rides from now on. You'll see plenty of good clips of Ash on Moonstones from now on.
That's a good board. They're so fun. Like
So
nice
good.
amount of rail. There's not like the foam's so nicely distributed.
Yeah, and you ride anything. You ride. I could ride that thing at choke.
yeah.
I rode it at Pipeline, like pumping Pipeline. It was like my favorite thing to ride. And then I ride it at
they glide into waves and
1 foot beach park and have a blast too.
They're just such a good. Such a fun board. Like heaps of paddle, heaps of glide. You can get into waves early, and they're still maneuverable, they still hold, and you get so much projection.
Yeah, the fastest board you can ride.
Keels or semi keels in the board. And you got a long, pretty straight rail, and there's just projection and flow.
Yeah.
So it's like super fun to watch, but you get that feel as well. Like they're super fun to surf, but
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're not whipping in the pocket, but everything other than whipping in the pocket, it's the best board to ride.
Yeah, especially open face. That's like my favorite board at like Snapper when it's bigger.
Yeah, slopier.
Slopey when in like a south slow and it's kind of running away a bit. And you've just got a wall that's kind of not super. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah,
the good boards.
All right, next subject. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to take way more of your time because I think Nate said you got some other stuff to commit to anyway. But one thing we do ask on every podcast is that we ask a do and a don't for surfing from yourself. So something like, just for example, don't put your fins in backwards. But yeah. So
don't drop in on me, drop in on Josh.
Do drop in on me, don't drop in.
Yeah, that's it. Don't drop in on me, drop in on Josh. My do's and don'ts.
Is that it? Just like a do and don't? Is that what you need?
Yeah. Well, something that you like, even little tips and tricks, like something that you've learned, or like for example, I said a couple of weeks ago, if it's like cold in the UK and you don't want to get changed by the side of your car and your drive's not too far away, put your board bag on your seat and it protects your seat and you don't get your seat wet and you can get changed in the shower at home. So little things like that you kind of think might help people.
Move somewhere warm.
Yeah.
Don't surf shitty England.
Do what you love and don't do what you don't love.
Yeah. That'll work. That works. I mean, trust me, we get weird. Darren's advised people to not brush their teeth with Nutella before. So yeah, that's as good as that. Maybe we should say, do make sure that if you've got a poddy or an interview where Josh is going to be there and he wants some beer, make sure you got his bolter.
Drink bolter. Don't drink anything else.
Yeah.
I think there are some fridge over the road. I'm not too sure.
They arrive pretty quick. Whoever went and
we got a buddy next door that went and did the run for us. Good guy. Good
lad. Well, thanks, boys. I really appreciate all of your time. I know Daz would appreciate it as well. And we'll keep chatting and keep talking. Yeah, but just thanks so much for your time.
That's all right.
No worries, bud.
Pleasure to jump on.
That's all good. That was Josh and Nathan. What great guys. Thank them so much for joining me on the podcast. We did very much miss Darren. He would have brought some incredible insights to this poddy that I just couldn't. But he will be back. We will be back next week. He'll be back from Hawaii. We're going to do an episode on his stories. We've also got a wrap-up of a Stab in the Dark coming very soon as well, along with some more special guests. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. And join us again on The Insiders. Thanks so much for listening.